Jack Harlow woke up to the familiar hum of Proxima Station. The artificial gravity felt heavier today, or maybe it was just the weight of peace. For nearly 50 years, humanity had lived without major conflict. The unification wars of 2100 had brought Earth together at last, and the expansion to nearby star systems had proceeded with remarkable harmony. Jack stretched and glanced at his reflection in the small cabin mirror. At 45, his brown hair showed streaks of gray, and the lines around his eyes had deepened. 20 years in the military, followed by diplomatic service, had taken their toll, but he remained fit and alert. "Ambassador Harlow, your presence is requested in the command center," the station AI announced. Jack frowned. He wasn't due for any meetings today. He dressed quickly in his blue diplomatic uniform and made his way through the curved corridors of the station. People nodded respectfully as he passed. As Earth's representative at humanity's farthest outpost, he commanded both respect and curiosity. When he entered the command center, Station Director Nicole Wright was staring at the main view screen with clear worry on her face. "Jack, we have a situation," she said without turning. "The Krell-Nath have crossed into the neutral zone." Jack felt his stomach tighten. The Krell-Nath Imperium had been discovered 5 years ago. Tall, gray-skinned beings with 4 arms and sharp features, they had maintained a cold but peaceful relationship with humanity. "Show me," he said. The screen changed to show a small human research vessel surrounded by 3 larger Krell-Nath ships. The sleek, curved designs of the alien vessels made the human ship look boxy and primitive by comparison. The Horizon was collecting data on the Proxima B moon when the Krell-Nath ships appeared, Nicole explained. "They're demanding the ship leave immediately. Captain Rogers is requesting assistance." Jack nodded. "Open a channel to the lead Krell-Nath vessel." After a moment, the screen flickered to show a Krell-Nath commander. His upper set of arms were crossed over his chest in what Jack had learned was a position of authority. "This is Ambassador Jack Harlow representing Earth and the United Human Systems. Your ships have entered the neutral zone in violation of our agreement. The research vessel Horizon has every right to be there." The Krell-Nath commander's yellow eyes narrowed. "Ambassador," he said, the translation software giving his voice a metallic quality, "your species has grown soft. You were once warriors, but now you are nothing but merchants and scientists." Jack kept his expression neutral despite the insult. "We value peace, Commander, but make no mistake about our resolve. I request that you withdraw your vessels and allow the Horizon to continue its work." The commander made a sound that the translation software couldn't interpret. "We have studied your history, human. For a brief moment in your development, you showed potential. Now you hide behind words and treaties." A warning flashed on a nearby console. The Krell-Nath ships were powering weapons. "Commander, I urge you to reconsider your actions," Jack said, feeling an old familiar sensation creeping up his spine. The combat readiness he had worked so hard to suppress was returning unbidden. "Your request is noted, Ambassador," and rejected. The screen went dark. Jack turned to Nicole. "Get me Captain Rogers now." But it was too late. On the view screen, bright beams of energy lanced out from the Krell-Nath ships. The Horizon tried to evade, but it was a research vessel, not built for combat maneuvers. The beams cut through its hull like paper. 127 crew members, Nicole whispered. Jack felt something change inside him. Something ancient and terrible stirring from a long sleep. His hands clenched into fists so tight that his knuckles turned white. "Send a message to Earth. Priority 1. Include all sensor data," he said, his voice suddenly calm and cold. "And prepare my shuttle. I'm returning to Earth immediately." As he walked out of the command center, Jack felt the diplomatic veneer he had cultivated for years cracking and falling away. Beneath it was something he had tried to forget. The soldier, the warrior, the killer. The Krell-Nath had made a grave mistake. They thought they were challenging a sleeping giant. In truth, they had just kicked open the temple door of a sleeping god. And war gods, once awakened, are not easily returned to slumber. The grand meeting hall of Earth's United Council buzzed with tension. 50 representatives from Earth and its colonies sat in a semicircle facing the central podium. Jack Harlow stood to the side, waiting to present his report on the Krell-Nath attack. Council leader Susan Powell called the emergency session to order. Her gray suit matched her hair, and her voice commanded attention without raising in volume. 3 days ago, a human research vessel was destroyed in the Proxima system by Krell-Nath forces. All hands were lost. Ambassador Harlow witnessed the attack and will now present his findings. Jack walked to the podium. The journey back to Earth had given him time to compose himself, but the anger still simmered beneath his calm exterior. The attack was unprovoked. Jack began. He played the recording of his conversation with the Krell-Nath commander. When the aliens' dismissive words about humans being soft echoed through the chamber, murmurs of outrage spread among the council members. The Horizon had no weapons. It was a scientific vessel with civilians aboard. Jack continued. This was not a mistake or a misunderstanding. It was a deliberate act of war. The council erupted in heated debate. Military advisor Greg Wilson argued for an immediate show of force. Others called for more diplomatic efforts. Susan Powell raised her hands for silence. We cannot rush into conflict, she said. The peace we've built is too precious to abandon without exploring all options. Jack felt his jaw tighten. With respect, Madam Powell, the Krell-Nath have already made their choice. They see our restraint as weakness. As the debate continued, a woman entered the chamber and approached Jack. She was in her 30s with dark hair, pulled back in a practical style. She wore the blue uniform of the Science Division. Ambassador Harlow, she said quietly. I'm Dr. Olivia Martinez, Xenoanthropology. I need to speak with you about the Krell-Nath. Jack excused himself from the podium. The council was now deep in argument, with Susan Powell struggling to maintain order. What is it, Doctor? Jack asked. Olivia glanced around and lowered her voice. Not here. Please, it's important. 20 minutes later, they sat in Olivia's small office at the Science Division headquarters. The walls were covered with images of alien writings and artifacts. I've been studying the Krell-Nath for years, she explained, pulling up files on her computer. 6 months ago, we recovered data from an abandoned Krell-Nath outpost. It included historical texts dating back thousands of years. She showed Jack images of strange symbols. These took time to translate, but what they say is disturbing. Jack leaned forward. Go on. The texts refer to an ancient encounter with humans, long before our official first contact 5 years ago. Olivia brought up a translation. They call humans the sleeping gods of war, and described fleeing to the far reaches of the galaxy after witnessing our capacity for violence. Jack frowned. That's impossible. We've only had interstellar travel for 80 years. I know, Olivia said, but the dating of these texts is accurate. Either the Krell-Nath encountered humans on Earth thousands of years ago, or what? Or they encountered humans somewhere else. The texts speak of a terrible conflict where humans fought each other across multiple star systems. Jack sat back, trying to process this information. If that's true, why don't we have any record of it? Olivia shrugged. I don't know. But what I do know is that the current Krell-Nath generation believes these are just myths. Their attack wasn't random. They're testing us, provoking us. To see if the myths are true, Jack said slowly. Yes. Olivia touched her screen, bringing up more translated text. According to this, the Krell-Nath retreated because they feared awakening what they called the full fury of humanity. They believed that humans, when fully roused to war, were unstoppable. Jack remembered the cold feeling that had washed over him as he watched the horizon destroyed, the sensation of something ancient stirring within. We need to tell the council, he said. Olivia nodded. But will they believe us? Without proof, this sounds like fantasy. Jack stood up, determination hardening his features. Then we'll find proof. The Krell-Nath have kicked open a door they shouldn't have touched. If they want to see what's on the other side, we'll show them. Outside the window, the peaceful streets of New Geneva continued their daily rhythm, unaware that the long peace humanity had enjoyed was coming to an end. The alarm woke Jack from a restless sleep. Red emergency lights flashed in his temporary quarters at Earth Command. He grabbed his comm unit. "Harlow here. What's happening?" "Ambassador, report to the war room immediately," a tense voice answered. Jack dressed quickly and ran through the corridors. When he entered the war room, chaos greeted him. Officers moved urgently between stations while large screens showed scenes of destruction. Susan Powell stood at the central table, her face pale. Admiral Henry Brooks, head of Earth's Defense Forces, pointed at a holographic map showing 3 blinking red points. "The Krell-Nath have attacked simultaneously," Admiral Brooks said as Jack approached. "New Eden, Horizon Colony, and Titan Base, all of them in the outer systems." Jack stared at the screens showing burning buildings and panicked civilians running for shelter. "Casualties. Thousands already," Susan said, her voice hollow. "Our defense forces were caught unprepared." "This is beyond a border incident," Admiral Brooks said. "This is a coordinated act of war." Jack felt that cold sensation again, stronger now. Something primal and fierce flowed through his veins. "We need to respond. Now." Admiral Brooks nodded. "I'm reinstating you to active duty, Harlow. Your diplomatic experience combined with your military background makes you valuable." "Sir," Jack was surprised. "You'll be assigned to the U.S. Defiant. She's our newest warship, fast-tracked from development. Captain Lisa Chen commands her." 2 hours later, Jack stood in a shuttle bay looking at the sleek form of the U.S. Defiant. Unlike the bulky transport and cargo ships that had defined human space travel during peacetime, the Defiant was built for speed and combat. Her hull was dark gray with minimal lighting, designed to be difficult to detect in space. A woman waited at the docking bay entrance. Captain Lisa Chen was shorter than Jack expected, but her posture and expression conveyed absolute authority. Her black hair was cut in a practical short style, and her uniform bore the new combat insignia that had been hastily created for the war effort. "Ambassador Harlow," she said, extending a hand. "Or should I say Commander Harlow now?" Jack shook her hand. "Commander is fine, Captain. Follow me. We launch in 30 minutes." As they walked through the ship, Lisa introduced Jack to key crew members. Communications Officer Peter Williams was young with quick eyes and quicker hands. Weapons Specialist Alan Nash was a veteran who had served with Jack years ago. Medical Officer Karen Johnson had a calm demeanor that balanced her fierce intelligence. "We're headed to Epsilon Eridani," Lisa explained as they reached the bridge. "Intelligence indicates a Krell-Nath battle group is gathering there, likely for another strike." "Captain," Jack said, "you should know that Dr. Olivia Martinez has been assigned as our xenoanthropology advisor. She has crucial information about the Krell-Nath." Lisa frowned. "This isn't a research mission, Commander. Trust me, her knowledge will be valuable." The Defiant undocked smoothly and accelerated toward the jump point. From the viewport, Jack watched Earth grow smaller. The peaceful blue-green world seemed suddenly fragile. The journey to Epsilon Eridani took 12 hours through the jump network. When they arrived, sensors immediately detected 5 Krell-Nath warships. "They outnumber us," Peter Williams said from his station. "But they don't outmatch us," Lisa replied. Battle stations. The Krell-Nath ships formed a defensive pattern, clearly surprised by the human vessel's sudden appearance. Jack felt the ship vibrate as weapon systems came online. "Open a channel," Lisa ordered. Peter complied, and a Krell-Nath commander appeared on screen. His 4 arms moved in agitation when he saw humans. "This is Captain Lisa Chen of the U.S. Defiant. You have committed acts of war against humanity. Surrender or be destroyed." The Krell-Nath commander made that untranslatable sound Jack had heard before. "Humans, you have come to fight. Perhaps the old texts were not mere legends after all. The communication cut off. The 5 alien ships moved into attack formation. Lisa looked at Jack, a fierce light in her eyes. It seems they want to test our resolve. Let's show them what happens when you wake a sleeping giant. The first shots fired across space, bright energy beams connecting human and alien ships. The battle for Epsilon Eridani had begun. The bridge of the U.S. Defiant shook as another Krell-Nath energy beam struck the shields. Jack held onto his console as systems flickered around him. Shields at 60%. Alan Nash reported from the weapons station. His fingers moved rapidly over the controls, redirecting power. Captain Lisa Chen remained calm in her command chair. Evasive pattern Delta. Bring us around for another attack run. The Defiant spun gracefully despite its size, avoiding 2 more energy beams. Jack watched the tactical display with growing amazement. The Krell-Nath had 5 ships to their 1, yet the battle was even. Their lead vessel is dropping its port shields to divert power to weapons, Jack said, noticing a pattern in the energy readings. Lisa nodded. Mr. Nash, target their exposed side on my mark. The Defiant swooped beneath the largest Krell-Nath ship, its engines glowing bright blue against the darkness of space. Now, Lisa commanded. Alan fired. Bright missiles streaked from the Defiant and struck the Krell-Nath vessel precisely where its shields were weakest. Explosions bloomed silently in space. The alien ship listed to one side, venting atmosphere and debris. Direct hit. Peter Williams called out. Their lead ship is crippled. Intercept a transmission from the Krell-Nath fleet, Lisa ordered. Peter worked his console. Got it. Translating now. A scratchy alien voice came through the speakers. They are fighting with unexpected skill. These are not the same humans we observed. They are awakening. The legends spoke truth. Jack and Lisa exchanged glances. The remaining Krell-Nath ships suddenly broke formation and jumped away, leaving their damaged lead vessel behind. They're retreating, Karen Johnson said in disbelief from her medical station. Lisa stood up. Secure that damaged vessel. I want prisoners and data. Back on Earth, the news of the victory at Epsilon Eridani spread quickly. Jack watched from a viewport as the Defiant docked at Earth's orbital station. Below, the planet was transforming. Factory lights that had been dark for decades now glowed as production ramped up. The peace-focused economy was shifting to war with surprising speed. In a secure briefing room, Jack met with Dr. Olivia Martinez. She had been analyzing data recovered from the captured Krell-Nath vessel. Look at this, she said, showing him images on her tablet. These are from their historical archives. They show ancient space battles between human ships. Jack stared at the grainy images. The ships looked nothing like modern human vessels, yet the figures inside were clearly human. This is impossible, he said. According to our history, we didn't leave Earth until the 22nd century. Olivia nodded. Exactly. Either the Krell-Nath fabricated these images, or our understanding of human history is incomplete. She showed him more data. They have extensive studies of human aggression patterns. They've been watching us for centuries, Jack. They retreated from Earth long ago because they witnessed something that terrified them. What? A human civil war that supposedly devastated entire star systems. According to their records, humans nearly wiped themselves out fighting each other. Jack shook his head. None of this makes sense. The door opened, and Admiral Brooks entered with Susan Powell. Commander Harlow, Dr. Martinez, Susan greeted them. We've received a communication request from the Krell-Nath central government. Jack's eyebrows rose. They want to talk. So they say, Admiral Brooks replied skeptically. They moved to a larger communication room where a secure channel had been established. A Krell-Nath figure appeared on the large screen. Unlike the military commanders Jack had seen before, this one wore elaborate robes and had painted markings on his gray face. I am diplomatic envoy Karleth of the Krell-Nath Imperium, the alien said. I request a meeting to discuss the current situation. Susan stepped forward. This is Council Leader Susan Powell of Earth. We would welcome diplomatic discussions to end your unprovoked aggression. The alien made a gesture with his lower set of arms. I will arrive at your space station within 2 days. I come with important information about our shared history. After the communication ended, Jack looked at Olivia. He's lying, Jack said. Something isn't right. Admiral Brooks nodded. I agree. This feels like a stalling tactic. Or an intelligence-gathering operation, Olivia added. Susan sighed. We have to try diplomacy, but we'll be prepared for treachery. Outside, the factories of Earth continued to build. The sleeping war machine of humanity was awakening, and soon it would be fully armed. 3 months passed. The war with the Krell-Nath spread across multiple star systems. Human ships pushed deeper into alien territory with each passing week. What had begun as a defensive action had become an aggressive campaign to strike at the heart of the Krell-Nath Imperium. Jack stood in Admiral Brooks' office on Earth, looking at the holographic war map. Green human fleet markers had pushed the red Krell-Nath markers back to their home systems. We've won every major engagement, Admiral Brooks said proudly. Our ships are faster, our tactics superior. The Krell-Nath are retreating on all fronts. Jack nodded but felt uneasy. The speed of humanity's transformation troubled him. Sir, have you noticed the changes in our society? Admiral Brooks frowned. What changes? Our culture is shifting. Media is filled with war stories. Children play war games in the parks. Political speeches have become increasingly aggressive. Before Brooks could answer, the door opened and Admiral George Foster entered. Foster had risen quickly through the ranks during the war. His tactics were brilliant but brutal, leaving no survivors when he engaged Krell-Nath forces. We have a new operation, Foster announced without greeting. Intelligence has located a Krell-Nath high priest who supposedly knows the full history of human Krell-Nath encounters. Admiral Brooks straightened. Where? A small moon in the Tau-Ceti system. The U.S. Defiant is our best option for a capture mission. Jack left the meeting troubled. On his way to find Olivia Martinez, he passed a group of children playing in a corridor. They were acting out a space battle, with one child playing a human commander ordering no mercy for the enemy. Jack paused, remembering how children's games had been about exploration and discovery just months ago. He found Olivia in her lab, surrounded by Krell-Nath artifacts and data screens. She looked tired but excited. Jack, I found something, she said when she saw him. Look at these brain scans. She showed him comparative images of human brain activity from before the war and current scans. There are changes in the limbic system and frontal cortex, she explained. Aggression centers are more active, while areas associated with empathy show reduced activity. Jack studied the images. Is this happening to everyone? To varying degrees, yes, and it's most pronounced in military personnel who have seen combat. She hesitated. I ran your scan too. You're showing the changes, Jack. He felt cold again, that now familiar sensation of something ancient stirring. What's causing this? I have a theory, she said, but it sounds crazy. After everything we've learned, I'm open to crazy. Olivia took a deep breath. What if humans were designed to be warriors? What if long ago, some advanced species engineered humans as the perfect soldiers? Jack stared at her. Engineered. Yes. And what if they eventually feared their creation and placed inhibitors in human DNA to suppress our full potential? The Krell-Nath would have witnessed humanity before these inhibitors took full effect. And now the war is reactivating dormant genes. Jack finished her thought. Exactly. The intercom chimed. Commander Harlow, report to the U.S. Defiant. Mission briefing in 1 hour. 48 hours later, the Defiant dropped out of jump space near a small rocky moon orbiting Tau-Ceti. The Special Operations Team, led by Jack, prepared in the shuttle bay. Their mission: capture the Krell-Nath High Priest Kaven and bring him back for questioning. Captain Lisa Chen approached Jack as he checked his gear. She had changed during the war. Her once professional demeanor had hardened into something colder and more predatory. "Remember, we need him alive," Jack reminded her. Lisa's eyes narrowed. "Of course, but his guards are fair game." The shuttle launched silently, using stealth technology to approach the hidden Krellnath temple on the moon's dark side. Jack felt strangely calm as they descended. The part of him that had once valued diplomatic solutions seemed distant now, replaced by tactical focus and readiness for violence. The shuttle landed behind a ridge of rocks. Jack led his team across the lunar surface toward the temple entrance. Guards patrolled the perimeter, their 4 arms each holding different weapons. "On my mark," Jack whispered into his comm. The human soldiers moved with perfect coordination, as if they had trained together for years rather than weeks. The Krellnath guards fell quickly, barely managing to fire a shot. Inside the temple, they found Kaven meditating before an altar. The elderly Krellnath looked up as humans entered his sacred space, but showed no fear. "You have come," he said simply. "The prophecy fulfills itself." The high priest Kaven sat calmly in the interrogation room aboard the U.S. Defiant. His 4 arms were bound, but he made no attempt to resist. Jack and Olivia watched him through a one-way window. "He hasn't asked for anything," Olivia said. "No food, no water, nothing. It's like he expected this." Jack nodded. "Let's talk to him." They entered the room. Kaven's yellow eyes followed them with ancient wisdom. His skin was paler gray than other Krellnath they had encountered, marked with ceremonial scars. "You have questions," Kaven said before they could speak. "I have waited many cycles to answer them." Jack sat across from him. "Who are we? What do your legends say about humans?" Kaven's upper arms made a sweeping gesture despite the restraints. "You are the children of the creators, designed for a purpose now forgotten. You were the perfect warriors, created to fight a war that ended long ago." "Who were these creators?" Olivia asked. "They called themselves the Anunnaki. They seeded many worlds with life, but humans were special. You were their weapons." Kaven's voice remained calm as he continued. "The Anunnaki feared what they had made. Humans were too effective, too eager for battle, too difficult to control. They modified your genetics, placed limiters on your true potential, and abandoned you on Earth to develop in isolation." Jack leaned forward. "You expect us to believe this?" "Whether you believe does not change truth," Kaven replied. "The Krellnath encountered humans before these changes took full effect. We witnessed your wars among the stars. The devastation. Your kind nearly destroyed themselves fighting each other when the Anunnaki withdrew their control. If this is true, why don't we remember?" Olivia asked. "Memory suppression was part of the genetic modifications. The Anunnaki wanted you to evolve naturally, without the burden of your violent past." Kaven's eyes fixed on Jack. "But now, with prolonged conflict, the old genes reactivate. The limiters fail. You become what you were made to be." Jack felt that cold feeling again, stronger than ever. A part of him wanted to deny everything Kaven said, yet another part recognized the truth in it. Back on Earth, Admiral Foster prepared a final assault on the Krellnath homeworld. Massive warships gathered in orbit, their weapons primed for destruction. Human society had transformed. Art galleries displayed images of battle. Music celebrated victory. Children dreamed of becoming warriors instead of explorers or scientists. In a research lab, Jack watched as scientist Dr. Frank Miller showed them the results of his tests on human DNA. "The changes are accelerating," Dr. Miller explained. "These dormant sections of our genetic code are becoming active again. It's like they were switched off and now they're switching back on." Olivia studied the data. "Can we stop it?" "Possibly," Dr. Miller said. "But should we? These changes are making us stronger, faster, more tactically intelligent. We're winning the war because of them." Jack shook his head. "At what cost? I've seen Captain Chen execute surrendering Krellnath. I've heard Admiral Foster talk about complete extermination of their species. We're losing our humanity. Their discussion was interrupted by an urgent message. A Krellnath ship had entered Earth's solar system under a flag of truce. It carried Sub-Commander Reltak, leader of a splinter group seeking peace. In the diplomatic conference room, Reltak faced the human leaders. Unlike other Krellnath, he showed no fear of humans. Our attack was a mistake, Reltak admitted. It was meant to test, not awaken. Our military leaders believed the ancient texts were mere legends. They wanted to prove their bravery by challenging the mythical war gods. Susan Powell, who had fought to maintain diplomatic channels throughout the war, asked, "Why come forward now?" "Because I have seen what is happening," Reltak replied. "Both to you and to us. This conflict is changing your species, reactivating what was purposely deactivated. If this continues, the beings you will become are not the beings you are now." Jack was about to respond when alarms blared throughout the facility. On screens around the room, they watched as explosions erupted on both a human colony and a Krellnath outpost simultaneously. "What's happening?" Susan demanded. Communications Officer Peter Williams, who had accompanied Jack from the Defiant, checked the incoming reports. "Coordinated attacks. Extremists on both sides have launched strikes to sabotage the peace talks." Reltak's forearms tensed. "Then we are too late. The temple door is fully open, and the war deity is awake." Flames rose from cities across human and Krellnath worlds. The peace talks had failed, and now full-scale war erupted throughout known space. The U.S. Defiant raced between battle zones, its crew fighting with an intensity that shocked even their enemies. Jack stood on the bridge, watching Captain Lisa Chen direct their latest engagement. She had changed dramatically in the months of war. Her movements were faster, her decisions nearly prescient. She anticipated the enemy's tactics before they executed them. "Target their engines and weapons," she ordered. "Leave their life support intact. I want prisoners." Jack noticed she no longer spoke of survivors, only prisoners. The distinction troubled him. The Defiant's weapons lanced out, crippling a Krellnath cruiser with surgical precision. Jack had seen this pattern repeated across the fleet. Human ships were achieving impossible victories against superior numbers. Human ground forces displayed strength and speed beyond normal limits. Wounded soldiers healed at remarkable rates. When he returned to Earth for a strategy meeting, Jack met with Dr. Miller and Olivia in a secure lab. Dr. Miller showed them his latest findings. "The genetic changes are accelerating," he explained, bringing up a holographic display of DNA strands. "But what's most concerning are the children." "Children?" Jack asked. Dr. Miller nodded grimly. "Infants born during the war are showing unprecedented development. Some are walking at 3 months. Others display rudimentary telepathic abilities." "That's impossible," Jack said, though nothing seemed impossible anymore. "See for yourself," Dr. Miller replied, opening a door to an observation room. Inside, 5 children under a year old sat in a circle. There were no toys, no books, but the children seemed to be communicating. One would look at another, and that child would nod or shake their head. Occasionally, they all turned to look at the same empty spot, as if watching something only they could see. "They're connected somehow," Olivia whispered. "How many children like this are there?" "Thousands, and more every day," Dr. Miller answered. "This is the final stage of transformation. The limiters in our DNA are completely failing." Jack felt cold dread. "We need to end this war before we lose ourselves completely." He was called away to a meeting with Admiral Foster. The Admiral's office had changed, now adorned with weapons and trophies taken from defeated Krellnath. Foster himself looked different, taller somehow, his muscles more defined despite his age. "We're preparing the final assault," Foster announced without preamble. "The Krellnath homeworld will fall within the week." "Sir, I've been studying the data from Dr. Miller," Jack began. "The changes in our species are making us stronger," Foster interrupted, a fierce light in his eyes. "We're becoming what we were meant to be, Harlow. For too long, Humanity was held back by artificial limitations. Now we're free. Free to become monsters, Jack asked quietly. Foster slammed his fist on the desk, cracking its metal surface. Free to take our rightful place. The Krell-Nath awakened us, and for that, they must pay the price. He showed Jack plans for a new weapon, the Planet Killer. One shot can crack a world's crust, render it uninhabitable. Jack felt sick. This is genocide. This is victory, Foster countered. The Defiant will deploy the weapon. Those are your orders. Back on the Defiant, Jack called together those he trusted. Olivia, Peter Williams, Karen Johnson, and a few others. He told them what Foster planned. We can't do this, Karen said. I joined to protect humanity, not to commit mass murder. What are you suggesting? Peter asked, his voice low. Mutiny? Jack nodded slowly. If necessary, yes. The ship's alert sounded. Captain Chen's voice came over the intercom. All hands to battle stations. We've engaged a Krell-Nath fleet near their home system. When Jack reached the bridge, Lisa was already directing the battle with cold efficiency. The ship shuddered under enemy fire. Load the special weapon, she ordered. Jack stepped forward. Captain, I can't allow that. Lisa turned to him, her eyes unnaturally bright. Stand down, Commander. No, Jack felt the ancient thing inside him stirring, but this time he channeled it differently. Not toward rage, but toward resolution. This ends now. Lisa moved with inhuman speed, striking Jack with enough force to send him sprawling across the bridge. She stood over him, transformed by war into something beyond human. You're weak, she snarled, still clinging to what we were, not embracing what we are becoming. Jack picked himself up from the bridge floor, tasting blood in his mouth. Captain Lisa Chen stood over him, her body tense and ready to strike again. Around them, the crew watched in shocked silence. Look at yourself, Lisa, Jack said quietly. This isn't you. This isn't any of us. This is what we were always meant to be, she replied, her voice deeper than before. You feel it too. I know you do. Jack did feel it. The power flowing through his veins, the heightened senses, the battle clarity. But he also remembered who he had been before. A diplomat. A peacemaker. We have a choice, he said, standing straighter. We always have a choice. Lisa laughed. Choice? We were made for war. The Anunnaki built us as weapons. They built us, but they don't control us now, Jack said. No one does, not even our own genetics. He stepped closer to her. The strongest part of being human isn't the ability to fight. It's the ability to choose not to. Something flickered in Lisa's eyes. A moment of doubt. Jack pressed his advantage. Remember Earth before the war. Remember helping that young cadet who failed his navigation exam. You spent hours teaching him because you believed in second chances. Lisa blinked rapidly, as if trying to recall a distant memory. Peter Williams stood up from his station. Captain, Commander Harlow is right. This weapon will kill billions of Krell-Nath, most of them civilians. Karen Johnson joined him. We're doctors and explorers, not exterminators. Other crew members began to stand. Lisa looked around, confusion replacing rage on her face. What's happening to me? She whispered. The ship rocked as enemy fire hit their shields. The moment of crisis was upon them. Jack made his decision. Peter, broadcast everything. Our sensor logs, communications, the weapon specs. Send it to every human ship and colony. That's treason, Lisa said, but her voice lacked conviction. It's humanity, Jack replied. The truth spread across human space like wildfire. The planned genocide, the genetic changes, the transformation of their society. Overnight, Earth fractured into those embracing the change and those fighting to remain human. 1 week later, Jack, Olivia, and Dr. Miller met with Reltak and the Krell-Nath Peace faction. Kevin was there too, his ancient eyes watching the proceedings with calm acceptance. Your species provided us with knowledge long ago. Reltak explained. Before the war, we helped limit your evolution. It was not interference, but cooperation. Dr. Miller nodded. The gene therapy is ready. It can't reverse all changes, but it can slow or stop further transformation. Jack looked at the injection device in his hand. The changes in his body had continued: enhanced strength, rapid healing, tactical insights bordering on precognition. The power was seductive. Part of him didn't want to give it up. The choice is yours, Olivia said softly beside him. All of ours. Jack pressed the injector to his neck. The gene therapy entered his bloodstream with a cool sensation. He didn't feel different immediately, but something subtle shifted inside him. We need to offer this choice to everyone, he said. 6 months later, humanity had divided. Those who chose the therapy remained closer to their former selves. Those who embraced the change had grown stronger, faster, more aggressive, but also more isolated. Many had left Earth to form colonies where they could develop without restraint. Jack stood on the observation deck of the new diplomatic vessel Hope, watching Earth grow smaller as they departed for another peace mission. Beside him stood Olivia, now his partner in work and life. A young Krell-Nath diplomat approached them. The new generation was being taught about humans not as enemies, but as complex beings with a complicated history. Commander Harlow, the young alien, asked, "Are humans truly war gods, as the old stories say?" Jack smiled. "We're whatever we choose to be. That's the real power humans have always had." Later, alone in his quarters, Jack looked out at the stars. With his enhanced senses, one change that remained despite the therapy. He could almost feel the presence of both transformed and untransformed humans spreading through the galaxy. The temple door, once kicked open, could never be fully closed again. But perhaps that wasn't entirely bad. Humans had awakened to their full potential, yes, but also to the full weight of their choices. And in the end, those choices would define them far more than any ancient genetic programming ever could.